Welcome and happy Pentecost Day. We celebrate it in the Christian community, in the Catholic Church, but it is actually a Jewish feast for many, many centuries. It was 7 weeks, 49 days. It was also called the Feast of Weeks, 7 weeks from the first planting. So it's an agricultural feast. The first planting, so it's 7 weeks of growing. So the first harvest, it was 3 harvest times. So the first is dedicated to God, the giver of creation. So the Jews are congregated in Jerusalem for a festival, an agricultural celebration. They are all together, all Jews, but people from different languages celebrating the sacred feast of weeks, of days, of 50. Pent is, you have a pentagon, it's 5-sided, and the Pentateuch is the first 5 books of the Bible. Pentecost is the first 50 days. So on the 50th day, there's the cutting and the dedicating of the fruitfulness. So that's Pentecost. Now let's just step aside for a little bit. In the narration in Genesis of creation, on the first day of creation, let there be light. And rabbis discuss this longum et latum. Why is light the first creation? Because light has to shine on something, and there's nothing to shine on. That's a funny thing, isn't it? To have a light and there's nothing to shine on. There's no other creation. Why be light? And the rabbis love to discuss that. The one that makes sense to me is that God existed first, or before first. God never had a creation experience. So that the foreverness of God is somehow revealed in the light being that which will shine on creation. So you have that first day of creation. In the gospel today, when does Jesus appear in the upper room? John is not subtle. John plays a lot with Genesis. In the beginning is the first line of Genesis. It's the first line of his gospel. So it's the first day of the week in John's gospel. And Jesus appears to them. In the first chapter of Genesis, God breathes on creation. And John uses that same word when Jesus comes in to the upper room and he breathes upon the chaos of the depressed or alienated disciples, bringing order, bringing creation back. So that's why this gospel at Pentecost is so important. But it's also the birth, see, it's the birth of creation. It's also the birth of the church, the gathering together of the community from its disorder. What is the work of the Spirit? This is called a feast of the Holy Spirit, if you will. And he breathes on them and he says, receive the Holy Spirit, receive the breath of God, creating them as the new presentation of Jesus. This is what you do. You let me create you to be a light, to shine on creation, helping creation know what it is, to help human beings know who they are. That's the work of the Holy Spirit. People talk a lot about the gifts of the Spirit and the work of the Spirit. Let me just give a little funny example. If I were to write a poem, or I had a Jesuit friend, and when he made dinner, he would let you know all the things that it took to make that dinner, where he got this spice and where he got these onions and all this stuff. He loved to explain so we knew what it really was, and not just what it was, but the love that he had for it and the love that he had for us. I think it took longer for him to explain what the dish was than for us to eat it. The work of the Spirit is not just wisdom, but a sensitivity, an awareness of who each of us is. Just like if I write a poem and you don't understand it, I will explain it. I use this metaphor and this imagery and this allusion and this figure of speech. Specifically, I have to help you understand what I was trying to say in my creation. The work of the Spirit is that I understand the revelation. So that the work of the Spirit, and he sends the apostles, as I have been sent to you, I send you with the Spirit to be the church, to be my body, but to let people know who they are. The work of the Spirit is revelation. Go way back. If you go, that God breathed and there was light, fiat lux, let there be light. In the coming of the Holy Spirit to Mary of Nazareth, she says, let there be me. The Holy Spirit will overshadow you. There will be a new creation, an intensification of creation, a final revelation of creation. And then there is a creation of the church. Let there be a church. And the work of the church then is the work of the Spirit, is the work of revealing. And that's who we are. We are revealers of the presence of God. The celebration is, Pentecost is a celebration of fruitfulness. For us in the Christian community, in the Catholic Church, it's a celebration of who we are, and we know who we are, and we do who we are. We are revelation points. We are saying, let it be done through me. Let there be light through me. Let the Spirit encourage me to know who I am, receive who I am, and do what I am. And what I do is reveal. The work of the Spirit is revelation. The work of the Spirit is incarnation. The work of the Spirit is each of us as church. So, do we accept who we are? Do we accept the revelation that Jesus has told us we are? Each of those 11 in that upper room had to accept who they were if they were going to go out. Maybe one would say, I'm not so sure. Maybe doubting Thomas says, I don't want to go. He received the Spirit too the next week, and they all went out to reveal Christ in the simplicity and the giftedness of their lives. And that's the life that each of us is sent by this celebration of the Eucharist, these readings. The nature of the church is each of us revealing the goodness of God.